Hello, today's date is the 21st of October 2021 and I'm Justin Porter, and the title of my video is The Supernatural Tranquiliser. I am the supernatural anesthetist. Ever heard that song by Genesis called Here Comes the Supernatural Anesthetist? 1974 album by the band Genesis. The double album was called The Lamb Lies Down in Broadway. Yeah. So today's topic is, what is the supernatural tranquilizer? It's religion. Yes, religion is the supernatural tranquilizer. And yeah, that's a supernatural tranquilizer, religion. So here comes a supernatural anesthetist. So when people are in pain, they take drugs to calm their nerves. When people go under an operation, they get anesthetized so they don't feel the pain of the operation. And sometimes the supernatural tranquilizer, religion, helps people cope with the pain of grief, losing their loved one in death, growing old and being alone. The supernatural tranquilizer church community can give people community at church. And the death of a child, the death of a husband, a wife, best friend, brother or sister, you lose your loved one in death. Along comes the supernatural tranquilizer, religion, that can ease the pain, ease the grief. You will see them again in heaven. You will see them in the resurrection, you know. You can't really say to somebody, imagine a funeral director or funeral parlour, you want to buy a coffin for your loved one, and they say, oh, you're never going to see them again. Your loved one is dead for eternity. They will never get resurrected. There's no life after death. You know that, don't you? Yes, you'll never see them again. No, religion is the tranquilizer, is the supernatural tranquilizer people need. People need religion. It's the, it's the calming effect. The reason why people are religious, I think, basically boils down to death denial. We're just primates coping with the reality of our own grief and our own mortality. And it's funny, I just dropped off my wife at the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall, and she's got her new little lapel card. She showed me her new little lapel card. And it's called the 2023 Exercise Patience Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses. So that's what the name of her lapel card is. And I said to my wife, oh, exercise patience. I said, yes, exercise patience, because one day to God is like 2,000 years. And she goes, no, one day to God is 1,000 years, she said. And I said, no. They should change that scripture. One day to God is 2,000 years. Because Jesus, he's been dead for close to 2,000 years. When he died in 33. And she goes, oh. And I said, well, one day with God is like 2,000 years. They should change that scripture. Because in the year 1000 AD, CE, I'm sure people thought Jesus was going to come back then. One day, 1,000-year judgment day, 1,000 years, the year 1000. They thought, what about the year 666? It's in the book of Revelation, maybe in the year 666. People thought, God's going to come back in 666. It's the mark of the beast and blah, blah, blah. What about the year 777, But he didn't come back. So the supernatural, here comes the supernatural anaesthetist. He has a supernatural tranquilizer called religion. So, don't get me wrong, I'm not against religion. If people have faith, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people having faith. I think it's a nice thing. I think it helps people cope, and it is nice. And even, I'm an agnostic. And I'm saying there may be life after death. I do believe in God, yes. I believe that Mother Nature is God. Mother Nature is God, and she doesn't write books or she doesn't talk to us. She doesn't care about us, but she's awesome. She's amazing, and you can get to know Mother Nature by looking under a microscope or looking through a telescope. I believe that we're products of Mother Nature. So I believe in a God. I believe Mother Nature's God. And I've heard a few Christians have said, Mother Nature isn't God. I said, well, I can see Mother Nature. I'm a part of Mother Nature. Because you can call God anything. I mean, why not Mother Nature God? Maybe she's always been around Mother Nature. She's always evolving and changing. So I'm an agnostic, but I'm also an atheist. People say, how can you be an agnostic and an atheist? Well, I'm both an agnostic and an atheist. A lot of atheists say that agnostics, you're really an atheist without balls. You're just a wimpy atheist. And then a lot of agnostics say that atheists are just arrogant agnostics. You're just arrogant agnostic, because nobody can be 100% sure there's no life after death. I do believe that when you tell people you're an agnostic, they're not so offended. Oh, you're an agnostic. Oh, right. They're not so offended. If you call yourself an atheist, that's why I prefer to say agnostic, because when I tell people I'm an atheist, they say, where'd you get your morals from? You're an atheist. Certainly not from the Bible. But I am an atheist when it comes to the Bible. Don't get me wrong. I think the Bible is an amazing book. My favourite book in the Bible is actually the book of Ecclesiastes. I think the book of Ecclesiastes is mind-bogglingly good. I love it. If you're going to read any book in the Bible, I highly recommend the book of Ecclesiastes, because it just goes on about the vanities of life, how, life is vanity, a striving after a wind. Everybody gets forgotten in the coming generations. The children that have been born now will be forgotten hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years from now. It's actually, funny enough, the book of Ecclesiastes, it sounds like it was written by an atheist. Apparently King Solomon wrote it, about 1000 BC. I don't know, something like that. I don't know exactly, I also love the book of Job. Primitive man wrote the book of Job. I believe the book of Job is fiction. I do believe the book of Job is fiction. And I do believe that primitive man, us primitive primates, when we were thousands of years ago, when the book was written, we always wondered, why do good people suffer evil? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do evil things, bad things happen to good people? You read in the book of Job, Satan appears in heaven, and God, Jehovah, Yahweh, says, where have you been, Satan? And Satan says, I've been walking about on the earth. Now, I didn't know Satan could walk, because snakes can't walk. You'd have to have legs. Remember in the Garden of Eden, he said, snake has to crawl on its belly. So I don't know what he was walking about on the earth, but you read the book of Job, And he says, "You set my heart. Have you set your heart against my servant Job?" Satan says, "He only worships you because all the good things you give him and you protect him, and but if you take away all his belongings and everything he's got, he's going to curse you." And then God says, "Well, go on, Satan. Go on, Satan. You know, test him out. You know, see if he does really love me. Or does he love me just because of the good things I give him?" Satan goes down, causes a big windstorm, a wall of a house falls on Job's 10 children and they get killed. So Satan in the Bible, how many people do you think Satan has killed in the Bible? 10. Only 10. As one act, when a windstorm knocked down a wall in a house and the wall fell on 10 people and they got killed in one act. Satan called, you know. Now, who's responsible for the death of Job's 10 children? Who gave Satan permission to go down to the earth and test Job out? An innocent man, a good man, a man that was blameless and upright. Who was it? It was Jehovah. It was Yahweh. Arrest Yahweh, take him to court. Yahweh, Jehovah, you're in court, charged with the murder of Job's 10 children. What do you say in defence, Jehovah, for the death of Job's 10 children? What do you say in your defence, Jehovah? The devil made me do it. The devil made me do it. The devil said he only worships you because of the good things you give him and blah, blah, blah. So the devil made me do it. Now, if a criminal did that in court, why did you commit this crime? The devil made me do it. It'd be thrown out in court, you know. So also, that's a great, and the book of Proverbs is a good book too. You know, so there's some nice books in the Bible. I think it's a masterpiece, the Bible. I do believe there's a lot of true history in the Bible. I do believe that there probably was a guy called Jesus who did get executed, but he's dead. He died 2,000 years ago, and he's still dead, and he hasn't come back to life. And he did say, Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24, he says that some of you alive today, he's talking to his disciples, will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. When, in other words, Jesus was saying, look, I'm going to come back in your lifetime. That was over 2,000 years ago, you know. So, and with the Bible, as a Jehovah's Witness, we'd knock on people's doors and say, do you want to study the Bible? Would you like to have a Bible study? Well, if you've ever been to a motel, any motel you go to nowadays, there'll always be a Bible in the drawer, a Gideon Bible. You'll get a Gideon Bible in the drawer, a Gideon Bible in the drawer. And you pull the Bible out and you can read the Bible yourself. Why is the Bible so ambiguous? Like, why is it so confusing that you need a scholar, you need a Bible scholar to explain the Bible to you? You should be able to read the Bible yourself. If you can read, you should be able to read the Bible, starting in Genesis, read the Bible for yourself, right? And figure out, what do you think the Bible's talking about? What do you think of the Bible characters? Your opinion. Why should you have to have a Bible scholar or a priest or Jehovah's Witness elders or Charles Taze Russell back in 1879 explaining what the Bible meant in the Watchtower magazine? You should be able to read it yourself. And all these Bible scholars, they disagree with each other. The Bible scholars who study the Bible, they disagree with each other. Religious leaders in all denominations disagree with each other about what the Bible is actually saying, you know. Did Jesus get resurrected from the dead? Well, to find out, you don't read each gospel account. What you do, you do them horizontally. So what you do, you get the 4 gospel accounts. There's actually 5, actually. 1 Corinthians talks about Jesus' resurrection too. So 5 accounts if you count 1 Corinthians. And Acts talks a little about Jesus' resurrection too. So you get the 4 Gospels, you get Acts and you get Corinthians, where it talks about the resurrection, and you read it horizontally. When they got to the tomb, was the tomb opened or closed? Were the angels at the tomb or were there no angels? If you read the 4 Gospel accounts horizontally, get 4 Bibles and do it 1, 2, 3, 4 different Gospel accounts, right? You will see 17 different contradictions in what the Bible says. They're different stories. The book of Mark was written first, and then the book of Matthew, then Luke, then John was written last. John has the most detail in it out of them all. And you can see that these stories, they've been, we can do a better job. Let's write the book of Matthew and Mark and Luke and John, so they improved on each other. So they were improvements on each other. In this one, let's say that there was an earthquake and people rose out of their tombs. Is that in the book of John? I think it's in the book of John. So these accounts all differ from each other and they have different details, you know. So Jesus didn't rise from the dead because nobody's ever risen from the dead. And it's only Josephus says that Christ was the brother of James, who was the brother of Christ who got crucified, and, you know. So you see these books are just fiction with a little bit of history in them. Some beautiful poetry like Ecclesiastes and Job. Love the book of Job and I love the book of Ecclesiastes. But it's literature. But it also is a tranquilizer. And I've always believed that man will always need some type of religion, drugs. Before I was all messed up on drugs. Now I'm all messed up on God. So religion can mess us up. It can mess us up, you know. Oh, yes, by the way, you remember the one I did 2 videos ago? I did one in the funeral at the cemetery at the hospital, at the Brisbane hospital in Brisbane, and my wife had a colonoscopy where they like a telescope up your back passage and down your endoscopy, which is down your food pipe, to see if there's any cancers or anything. The doctors cancelled her colonoscopy and they cancelled her endoscopy because her platelet count was low. Nikki's platelet count was low, and because she has Wilson's disease, my wife has a bad liver, and her spleen eats up all her platelets. You know, the platelets, that's the red cells, and that's the clotting agents, the platelets. And so what happened, they had to cancel it because her platelet count was so low because her spleen's eating up all her platelets. And if they gave her platelets, but she won't have platelets. And I said to my wife, well, as Jehovah's Witness, you can have blood fractions. You can have blood fractions for snake venin and all. A fraction, but plasma is a fraction of blood. Platelets are a fraction of blood. Why can't you have the bigger fractions? And I said to my wife, you gulp down the camel and strain out the gnat. Because a life-saving transfusion, for this operation, they wouldn't do it. Now, there is they've given her some tablets. She's like Romiplastin, right? Romiplastin that builds up her platelets. She's got to have them for a couple of weeks to build up her platelets. So she makes her own platelets. Then they can do the colonoscopy and the endoscopy. But she's got to take 6 tablets a day, these awful tablets that she says taste disgusting and blah, 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 awful, horrible things. So her builds up her platelet count so they can do the colonoscopy, you know. And hopefully there's nothing there. Hopefully there's nothing there, because Nikki, my beautiful wife's 51, And I suppose when you get in your 50s, I'm 62, they just want to make sure there's no cancers or polyps or anything like that. But they wouldn't do it because the platelet count's low. Normal person would, well, take platelets. They'd give you platelets. But Jehovah's Witnesses can have blood fractions for snake venin. And but platelets are a fraction. Plasma is a fraction. It's crazy. And at the hospital, the nurse, she said, "Oh, Nicole, your next of kin is Elder, Jehovah's Witness Elder X, and his phone number is, and his wife's phone number is." That's her next of kin. And the other one is Sister Jehovah's Witness, I won't mention her name, and her number is... And I said, "I'm Nicole's husband." "Oh, you're Nicole's next of kin. You're her husband." "Yes, I'm Justin. My name's not all that. They're Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm Justin's husband. I'm her next of kin. I have to pick her up from the hospital." And the nurse was flabbergasted. "Oh, your number should be there. I'll write down your..." And Nicole has a medical directive, and on the directive it says, "Is there anybody you don't want involved in your medical treatment?" And she's written down, "Yes, my husband, Justin Porter." So there you go. That's what I have to put up with. And it's religion. It's religion. This supernatural tranquilizer can become dangerous. As I say, a knife can be harmless if you're chopping a tomato, but if you go stabbing someone, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy. It's just... Jehovah's Witnesses have got rid of you don't have to count your hours anymore, but you've got to still can't have blood transfusions, but you can have minute little fractions. Tiny little fractions, but you can't have big fractions like a third, a quarter. You can have 1/25th, 1/30th, fractions, but you can't have 1/3, you can't have a half, you can't have a quarter, you can't have a fifth, like platelets, red cells, white cells, rubbish. Yeah, what a lot of rubbish. And so the supernatural tranquilizer is religion. I'm not against religion. I'm not against... People can have faith. I'm okay with people's faith. But when they go out and say that it's a fact, and treat their religion like a fact, that's when I take objection to it. Because, look, it's the truth, Justin. It's the truth. You just want to sin. You just want to sin and live your life in a sinful way. But and that's what I don't like. When they treat it like a fact, like it's a scientific fact, it's faith. I still have faith. I have faith that there may be life after death. I'm not saying there's no life after death. I don't think there is. There probably isn't any life after death, I'm still agnostic, in that way, I'm still an atheist. I don't believe in Jesus. I believe that Jesus probably existed. He's a historical character. I don't believe in Zeus or Thor, the god of thunder and lightning. And there is evidence for Thor, the god of thunder and lightning. We have thunder and lightning. So Thor must be real. You say that to a Christian. You ever get a Christian that says that to you? Oh, fine-tuning, intelligent design. It must be the God of the Bible. Why can't it be the God of the Quran, or the God of the Bhagavad Gita, or the God of the Tibetan Book of the Dead? I would say, well, if God is almighty, if God has all the power, he can do anything he wants. He can create life under any circumstances. It doesn't have to be fine-tuned. Actually, funny enough, fine-tuning proves to me evolution is true. Evolution is true because everything had to be fine-tuned to get life here for the first spot. If God was really real, he wouldn't need fine-tuning. He wouldn't need fine-tuning to make sure everything's fine-tuned, He could make life out of any kind of situation, So, it's been 24 minutes. I'm Justin Porter. Thanks for listening to my video. And the supernatural tranquilizer. Take it in moderation. And if it gets too much, You may have to give up the supernatural tranquilizer and say goodbye to your supernatural anaesthetist, and be a sober atheist. To be a sober atheist and say, well, maybe there is no life after death and this is the only life we get. Let's be nice to each other, and because the only guaranteed life we get. And the funny thing about it, though, life is so much, it's precious when you're an atheist. You know, I think atheists are the only ones that are really sober. Atheists are the only really sober people because they accept that we've got one life. The days of our life are precious and few, right? And we're not going to have our loved ones forever. We're not going to be paying bills forever. We don't have to work hard forever. Your troubles are soon going to be over, and you'll never live again. So you're going to go back into what you were before you were born. And Mark Twain, born in 1835, he died in 1910. He said, I'm not afraid of being dead. I was dead for billions upon billions of years, and I never suffered. No, I was dead for billions upon billions of years before I was born, and I never suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. So you can be a sober atheist, and or an agnostic. You know, there could be life after death. You have that. When you're an agnostic, you've got that little bit of hope. When you're agnostic, you think, yeah, I need that little bit of fix. When I'm an agnostic, I need that little, just a small injection. Please, Mr. Supernatural Anaesthetist, just a small injection of, you know, agnosticism, because maybe there is life after death. Maybe there is. And at the end of it, we'll have a big laugh with God. But we should all be agnostics. None of us know. Nobody knows the big, and God's a spirit. What on earth is a spirit? Ghosts are spirits? People don't believe in ghosts. So what's a ghostly spirit? God's spirit is always existed. Maybe nature, Mother Nature's always existed, and atoms have always existed, but they change. And, that's all I want to say. Thank you. It's been 27 minutes now. I'm Justin Porter. Like, subscribe, and bye-bye. Catch us later.